Welcome back to the Truck and Truth, Episode 4. And I think I got a special little treat for y'all today. A little tale from my journey as a truck driver. I'm gonna have y'all get acquainted with a person I called Special Ed. Today we are in the W900 Highway Killer by John Ruda, pulling his Great Dane reefer. We're down in Las Vegas. Gonna take some appliances up to a Walmart in Salt Lake City. And of course, have a chat along the way. Now, the first company I ever officially started with as an over-the-road driver was Schneider National. And when I first got there, they told me I had to do a 2-week thing. I already had my CDL, which was weird that they had me doing this, the whole 2-week ordeal. Even one of the instructors was like, you know, you probably should have just went out with a trainer. But, you know, nonetheless, I go from Houston to Dallas. They put me up in a hotel room, and I start my 2 weeks. Orientation and a little bit of driving. It was like I was mixed in with those who needed to get their CDLs. So they start breaking down the pay structure about the third day, and everybody noticed, you know, you could make more money if you were team driving. And I thought, well, hey, not only can I make more money, but here in this, you know, new journey of truck driving where, you know, let's face it, being out of truck driving school, you have no clue what the hell you're doing. I'm like, well, you know, probably get put with another newbie and neither one of us will know what we're doing, but that's okay. We'll have each other to rely on, whatever. So I put word out in the group that I was looking for a teammate. And say about 2 days after that, there was this black boy. I cannot remember his name. I want to say it was Trey, so I'm just going to call him Trey. We both found out the other one got high, smoked weed. And he was from the Dallas area. And so we started hanging out naturally. And we decided we were going to be, you know, team drivers together. The only problem was he lived in Dallas. I lived down in Houston. And we were like, that's not a problem. You know, one home time we'll go to Dallas and I'll chill with him and his family. And the other home time we'll come to Houston and he'll chill with me and my family. So about a week and a half into this 2-week deal, suddenly somebody from Schneider comes to me and him and says, hey, y'all can't team. You live too far apart. There's no exceptions. So now I've only got a few days left. I have no partner. And I hear there's this one guy, he's looking for a partner. And I had talked with this guy up to this point. I hadn't really hung out with him. He was a bigger guy. I'm a bigger guy. Let's get this out of the way here first for special ed. Look out, car. I'm coming over. I'm a big old fat dude. Let's just be honest. But this was a big old fat dude. You know what I mean? Like, you can look at a fat guy and you can tell underneath there's a core. There's something there. This guy didn't have that. I mean, it was just fat layered upon fat. Didn't bother me. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll team with you, dude. So I get to kind of noticing he's not the brightest bulb, the sharpest knife, you know. But I'm like, okay, we can do this. So when it comes time to go out with a trainer, this guy, something happened with his paperwork or something, and he couldn't go out with the trainer right then. And the trainer's like, you know, it's all good. I'll take you. And in a week or so, we'll come back. What are you doing, car? Jesus. He's like, we'll come back through and pick him up. So I'm like, all right. So I go out with the trainer for a week. A semi-cool dude. And I say he was semi-cool because, I mean, I get it. You don't want a bunch of strangers at your house, but he took home time. He took like 4 days of home time with me and this other big old dude in the truck. And he stuck us in a straight up crack motel all 4 days. He did not come back to even check on us until he was ready to hit the road again. And when I say crack hotel, what a hotel was a motel, let's get real. It was two floors though. I give them that. They had 2 floors. But it's all they had going for them. There were some Mexican guys in the next room over. Not the next room. There was a room between us that I think was empty. But these Mexican guys were smoking crack out on the balcony, just out in the open, and getting crazy, talking craziness. At one point, one was trying to stab the other. I mean, real crazy stuff happened at this little motel. And we were stuck there for 4 days. I didn't like that. Like, dude, if you're going to train people and you're going to go take home time, take them home with you. Or at least put them somewhere where they can at least, you know, maybe have a shot at not dying or trying crack for the first time. I mean, it was, to me, it was disrespectful. But other than that, the guy was kind of cool. At least with me. I noticed right off the bat he would pick on Ed. And at first I took up for Ed. And I told Ed, look, man, I know you want to lose weight. And, you know, I would like to lose some weight. I could damn sure lose some myself. You know, when we're out on the road together, just me and you, we'll take the time. I'll go walking with you, man. If you'll walk, I'll walk. And we'll push each other. He's like, all right, man. All right. So we go with the trainer a little bit. I think he had been in the truck with the trainer now for 2 weeks. I had been stuck in the truck for 3 weeks. We go to Green Bay, which is Snyder's headquarters. And the trainer decides he's going to put us on the skid pad, which I got excited for. If you don't know what a skid pad is, it's basically a big old flat concrete parking lot, and they spray water I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but they do spray a little bit of fuel out there. I know the EPA probably wouldn't be happy, but you got to get it slick. And what they do is they put you in a truck hooked to a trailer, and the trailer's got chains attached to it. It can't jackknife. The trailer can only swing around so far. And they'll lock up certain axles or certain wheels on certain axles to throw the truck into a spin. And it's your job to get the truck out of that spin. I was excited. I'm like, this is going to be fun. I noticed Ed didn't want to do it right off the bat. Just did not want to do it. And at first I thought, okay, I'm a big dude. You know, getting up in a cab over isn't the easiest thing in the world. This is a really big dude. He's probably scared he can't even get in this truck. Because until now, we hadn't been in a cab over. And so I go do it. I come back. Ed's asking me how it was. I'm like, dude, it's great. Just go do it. It's fun. It was easy to control the truck. Just listen to what they're telling you. They went out there, and they wasn't out there just a few minutes is all it could have been. I wasn't watching. I was inside talking with some higher up in Schneider that the trainer had introduced me to. And they wasn't out there long at all, and they came right back in. And Ed looked white as a ghost, and the trainer was like, oh my God, this guy's going to kill somebody. And the trainer later that day pulled me off to the side and he said, Rick, are you sure you want to team with this guy? You know, he's not really progressing here. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, give it time, man. You know, the only way to learn stuff is to just get out there and do it. You know, and I'll be with him. It'll work out. He says, all right, man. He says, well, good news, I'm going to turn you loose today. You're going to drive solo until he's ready. He's still going to remain in the truck with me. I'm like, all right. And they had me take a load straight down to Conroe, Texas, just north of Houston. Delivered it, came on to Houston, took some home time because there was no home time between the 2 weeks orientation and all this training stuff. And then when I was done with home time, they just had me deadhead. Or no, they had me leave. They put me in a cab over to be solo. They had me leave that at the Houston terminal, put me on a Greyhound back to Dallas to meet up with Ed. We were going to get our own conventional tractor. So we get there, we get the truck. And I want to say it was that day Ed started to kind of confide stuff in me. Like he was telling me that he had no GED and no high school diploma, that he had lied about it. And that was the reason for the hold up when I'd went out with the trainer and he had to stay behind. But somehow, some way, eventually Schneider couldn't find exact records or whatever, but they just finally told him, okay, you can just go. You know, he had given them like a fake certificate or something. I don't know. So I'm like, wow. And then I really started to notice how dumb Ed was. Ed, if you asked Ed, hey Ed, what's 2 plus 2? Ed would tell you 4. He could do that. But if you said, hey Ed, what's 2 plus 22? He would tell you, I can't do that without a calculator. Think about that. That was when I started calling him Special Ed. And I don't think he ever caught on to why I called him Special Ed. He was that special. So we get out on the road together. He still hasn't, or no, he had taken like a day or so home time. But they had sent us from Dallas down to Laredo. And we were going to pass by where he lived. So we stop in, and he lives with his dad. I walk up to this trailer. In this trailer, the porch was collapsed. Like half of it was just straight up collapsed. It wasn't exactly easy getting inside this trailer. How this big son of a bitch had been doing it on a regular basis blows my mind. And then when you get inside, it was like, oh my God. You ever been somewhere, I guess to a hoarder's house, where there isn't even a path in the floor? Like, I don't know how his dad had been getting around. And it didn't smell the best. I couldn't wait to get out of there. So that happens. Then one night, we decide to get a motel room. We get it. And Ed said he needed the bed closest to the restroom. Now, mind you, this was a motel with two, little beds in it. They're side by side. But I'm like, hey, whatever, dude. You want to be the closest to the shitter? By all means, go for it. And then I noticed he would get up to go pee, which was like, the bathroom was 8 steps maybe, and then 8 steps back to the bed, maybe 8. And Ed would be out of breath. And I told Ed, I said, Ed, you're so big. I said, I'm a big dude. I said, and I, at the time, smoked 3 packs a day. Was nothing for me. And I'm like, Ed, the fact that I smoke all these cigarettes and you don't smoke, and you're out of breath from taking 16 steps, you're gonna die, dude. We gotta start exercising. And that night he confided into me that he didn't have the confidence to exercise or the drive or any of that because he was 23 years old and he was still a virgin. So I told him, I said, well, Ed, we see bars near these truck stops all the time. How about, next time we have time, we'll go in the bar and, see if we can get you anybody. We tried that once. And honestly, Ed may have had a shot with something in there. I don't know. If he'd have got out from under my ass long enough. So that failed. So one night we're down in Wildwood, Florida. For any truckers that ever hear this, they're going to be like, oh shit. It kind of lives up to its name. And we're just sitting in the truck. It's late at night, and we're listening to the prostitutes talk to other drivers on the radio. And we can see them running around the lot and running from the lot to the motel and back and forth. And I had an idea. I said, Ed. He's like, yeah. I said, would you be against losing your virginity to a prostitute? And he said, man, I ain't got no money. I said, nah, I didn't ask you if you had money. Would you mind losing your virginity to a prostitute? And he goes, well, I don't reckon I would care what she is as long as it's a her. I said, okay. So I get on the radio and I get to talking to this one lot lizard. And she sounded cute. Ed thought she sounded cute. Finally tell her what truck we're in, where we're parked. And I see her come out of her motel room. I knew it was her the second I saw her. She come straight across the lot, crawled up in the truck. What in the... For a truck stop lot lizard, she wasn't that bad looking. But take her out of that context and she was pretty bad looking. But anyway, when she gets to the truck, Ed, his shy ass, done closed the sleeper curtain, and he's in the sleeper where he can't be seen. And so she comes up to the driver's side. I open the door. I slide into the passenger seat. She gets in the truck. And she's like, so, hey, baby, you looking for a good time? And I'm like, yeah, that's the plan. And she goes, okay, baby, what do you want? And I said, well, and I'm thinking, like, what would Ed want? I'm like, well, how about everything? And she goes, everything? I said, everything. Anything that I want to do to you, I'm able to do it. She looks at me. She goes, $100, driver. I said, deal. I said, but it ain't for me. And she kind of stops and she's like, what do you mean it ain't for you? And I said, Ed, open the damn curtain. Ed opens this curtain. And I say, it's for him. This average looking lot lizard looks at Ed, looks at me, looks back at Ed, looks back at me, and right then and there says, you don't have enough money, and showed herself out of the truck. I gotta be honest, I didn't know how to act at first. I had just witnessed one of the funniest moments in my life, and at the same time had witnessed one of the saddest, most depressing moments of another's life. Good old Special Ed. We didn't stay together long, just a few weeks, because Ed couldn't read abbreviations and all the instructions over Qualcomm's as far as how to get somewhere. It's all abbreviated because those companies are paying by the letter. And one evening we stopped somewhere. We both needed a comm check to get some food. I go in, get my comm check, cash it. I'm ready to get some food. Ed comes in and asked me for a pen or something so he could write his comm check number down. And I told him, I said, hey, I got my pen from the girl at the fuel desk. And he's like, well, go get me one. And I'm like, how about you go get you one? I'm going to get me some food. And he said something, and I turned around and I shoved him just enough that, like, Like, I didn't even shove him back. I just kind of put my hand on him kind of hard to let him know. Like, dude, you need to watch your fucking mouth. And at this point, I'm pissed off. So I get my food. I go out to the truck. Now, up until this point, every time Ed took over, when it was his turn to drive, he would open up the atlas to the first page, and he would find handwritten instructions by me with nothing abbreviated and everything explained. Well, tonight I hadn't done that yet, and as I ate my food sitting in the sleeper, I thought, you know what, Ed? You're gonna learn today, buddy. You're gonna learn today. So, sitting there eating my food, I don't write out no directions for him. After a little while, I feel the truck about tip over from him climbing in the side of it. He gets in the truck. I close the curtain to the bunk area, and I hear him pick up the atlas and flipping through the pages over and over. And then he goes, "Hey, Rick, where are my instructions on where to go?" And I said, "They're right there in your hand, brother. Read the Qualcomm and look at the map." Ed goes, "Are you serious? You're not going to give me instructions?" I said, "Dude, it's not my job to give you instructions. That person already did their job and sent you instructions. It's not my job to unabbreviate everything for you." So he gets pissed off and goes, "Well, I'm just going to get on the interstate, and whichever way we're going, that's the direction we're going." And we're loaded, mind you. I said, "Fuck it. Like I care." I went to sleep. We were supposed to be delivering in Nashville. I wake up to him talking to somebody, like yelling out the window at somebody, saying something. And I open up the sleeper curtain and look, and this fool has driven down a dead-end street in a subdivision. And he was talking to the officer that was trying to help him back out from this dead-end street. To which I immediately told him to just stop. I got out, explained to the cop, like, this dude's pretty freaking dumb, you know, but I'm up now. I'm going to take over. I can get the truck out of here, no problem. The cop was cool. He's like, "Okay, you know, just, you know, tell a guy you can't be coming in the neighborhoods." And I'm like, "Well, you would think he would know that, but special ed." So I get us out of this subdivision. I said, "Ed, where are we?" "I don't know. We're somewhere in Nashville." I said, "Are we even close to where we have to deliver?" And his response was, "I couldn't tell from the directions on the Qualcomm, so I was just driving around until I saw the place or the street it was on." That was this dude's plan. So as I'm trying to have him explain to me how to get back to the interstate he got off of, I see a big old mall. And I immediately knew we were in Nashville because I knew this mall. So I go to the mall because I knew it had a big old parking lot. I get parked because the directions I have now do me no good. I don't even know exactly where I'm at. I know about where I'm at. I'm definitely in Nashville. I know I've seen this mall before, but, you know, whatever. So I call Snyder and tell them exactly the mall I was at and that I needed directions from there if they could get them to me. And I told them what happened. And they say, "Okay, we're going to resend directions, you know, from where you're be coming from this time. So, you know, let's go get that delivered." I said, "Okay." So I get back out to the truck. Special ed is gone. I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I go back in. I call the company. So, hey man, this dude's gone. He ain't in the truck. And the guy at the company goes, yeah, he just got off the phone with me. He's pretty pissed off at you. And I'm like, oh, really? So he goes, go find him. I told him to go back to the truck, but go find him and get that load delivered. I'm like, all right. I find this dude. He's window shopping. Just window shopping. You know, we wasn't supposed to deliver earlier that morning or nothing. I guess none of that really happened or mattered. So I'm yelling at the dude. I get him back out to the truck. We go make the delivery. They don't even give us a load to Dallas. The dispatcher said, you're going to deadhead from Nashville to Dallas. And when you get here, you can drop that dude off and y'all can go y'all separate ways. He goes, but you know that means you're going to go back in a cab over, right? And I'm like, dude, put me in a Ford Pinto pulling a damn U-Haul trailer at this point. Get me away from this dude. So we leave Nashville. We're on I-40, I think, somewhere in Tennessee. And I mean, we wasn't that far from Nashville, and you know, we was just at a mall. He was just window shopping. And Ed looks at me and says, I gotta pee, man. Hit the next rest area. I said, okay. Next rest area came. Pull into a parking spot. Set the brakes. He goes, you gonna go pee? I said, man, I peed at the mall. I'm good. He's like, all right, I'll be back in a moment. When he went out of sight through that doorway, I unset the brakes or released the brakes, threw the truck in gear, and away I went. And about 40 miles down the road, Snyder started blowing up the Qualcomm. Wanting me to go pick that dude back up. And did I? No, I didn't. And I told him I wouldn't. I said, I can either bring this truck, this conventional back, and y'all can throw me in the cab over you want to put me in. But if I got to go back and get that dude, then I'm just parking this son of a bitch where I'm at, and I'll pay my own Greyhound to go home. I don't care. I ain't driving with this dude no more. And he said, well, just come on back. The day after I got back to Dallas, I was still hanging around the terminal, waiting on a cab over to come open. I was actually kind of praying that one wouldn't, and they'd have to give me a conventional. But that didn't happen, so that second day there waiting, Ed come through the terminal. Him and his dad. Ooh, he didn't look too happy, but he didn't say shit neither. And I was waiting on it. I was thinking, dude, I will beat the shit out of you and your old man. And you know, here's the scariest part of this story. See, the scariest part wasn't that Snyder tried to stick him on the road. The scariest part, I need to move over, is the fact that after all that, and after everything I told Snyder about this dude, they gave him his truck, his own truck. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody told me he even got a conventional. And I want to say it's probably because he couldn't get in and out of the cab over. And they knew it. But yeah, a guy that basically lied about having a degree or diploma of any kind, couldn't tell you what 2 + 22 is without a calculator, couldn't read the damn directions on the Qualcomm because shit was abbreviated. When he couldn't read the directions, he figured, well, we're delivering to this place on this street in Nashville, so I'm just going to ride around all of Nashville, including any subdivisions I come across, until I find this place. Or, I can't read the directions, so I'm just going to go take one of the on-ramps to the interstate going in one of the directions, and that's where we'll go. They took that guy and put him in a truck. Out there on the road by himself. I often wonder whatever happened to old Special Ed. Sometimes I imagine he could be in prison because he done killed somebody with the truck. Maybe he died of a heart attack a few days later. I don't know. I mean, that's just as likely, to be honest with you. But that's my story about Special Ed. The guy's so fat and ugly that even a lot lizard said I didn't have enough money. I'm sorry, it's still funny. Y'all take it easy. Keep on trucking.